Aloha, all my moneymakers out there. This is Indar Lang, and we're live today at our podcast number 38. Squatters! What do you do about squatters in your property? What's it like? My name's Indar, and we're going to dive on into it. Let's have some fun, and let's talk about squatters. If I told you guys that subscribe button is the only thing that's separating you from financial freedom, because knowledge is power. I'm going to give you all the knowledge so you can succeed in life. So what is a squatter, guys? What is a squatter? We buy these properties often with people just sneaking in there. I just talked to a friend just today. He's in Illinois. He posted his property for rent, and once he put it on rent, a person seen that this property is vacant. That person went into the property, broke the locks, got in, and started squatting in the property. So a squatter is basically somebody living in a property without a lease, without your unbeknownst knowledge to you as a homeowner. They don't have a lease. And this is where it gets technical, especially here in Hawaii. If they have a lease, some foreign lease that they say they have, or something written document, then they become a tenant. And a tenant and a squatter is very different and very hard to deal with a tenant compared to a squatter. Squatters are more trespassing, more almost a little easier to deal with sometimes. Tenant, they have legal documents, and it's going to be a lot more encumbersome court-wise. A little bit about us. I've probably dealt with, 20 to 30 different squatters. Some hard, some easy. You never know what you're going to get. I have so many different stories, but let me tell you some. Let me tell you some fun stories. So we bought many properties, and it's sad. It's I really feel for a lot of these people. They have no place to go. Most of the time, they're either on drugs or just not in the right state of mind. And I feel for the people. We always come right away with good intentions. So I would recommend anyone dealing with squatters come with good intentions off the bat. No matter what. These are people. These are real people with real, just real problems. And so always come with a good intention. And I've always started with that. You always have to start with that because, hey, you want to help people. We had one time we had a squatter in Eva Beach, and it was just a bank foreclosed property, and they came in there and they started squatting there for years. Foreclosures normally take 4 or 5 years sometimes. The property was vacant for 4 years. She came in and she was living there for about 1.5 years. Her and her kids, she had a whole family. And I said, hey, we'll buy this. We're going to buy this property from the banks, and you have to be out by time. I come earlier. Once I get it under contract, I already start that conversation with these people. So I gave her 30 days at the time. I was still buying it. And she ended up, we ended up when we were about to close, the sheriffs came by and changed the lock and actually ended up kicking her out and getting her to leave. I still kept to my word. I gave her money to help her. We actually helped moving some of her stuff. So even though the sheriffs already kind of did what I needed to do without us before even closing it, we still just helped her. In the scheme of things, what's a couple grand to help somebody, and it's she's a family. So we often come with just good intentions. I always would do cash for keys. Hey, Mr. Squatter, I love, to make this a win-win for both of us. What could we do to help you, help us, take, this to the next level? We would ultimately have to pay a lawyer anyway and spend, $3,000. I've spent up to $15,000 with lawyer fees. So why don't you take this, let's say $3,000 of money, and you get to use it instead of me giving it to a lawyer? It can help you with down payments. It can help you with the moving of it all. It can help you do a lot, because ultimately, we'll win. It's just a matter of time of how long it'll take us to win these properties. And I've had a person one time. I was going to give $3,000, and I just left it open. I didn't say how much. Hey, I'll give you some money to help you move out. This was a long time ago, maybe like 6-7 years ago. And the guy just said, just give me $300 and I'll be gone. And I was going to give him a lot more, and he was fine with $300. He was a chronic, he was a drug addict, and he took the money, and he was gone. So he did leave his dog behind, which was kind of sad. I don't call the Humane Society, by the way, for dogs. I often get, a few times we got property with dogs. One time we were able to give it away to somebody we knew. Another time, I think a neighbor took one. And then a few other times, I don't call the Humane Society because I think the Humane Society, they put them to sleep. So I'd rather just give the dog their best opportunity. We'll give them some food, water, and let the cages. Y and I will let the cages loose. Maybe the dog just has a better shot at life. Here you go, Mr. Dog. Take a, have your own opportunity to make it. If we can't do nothing for the dog, most of the time they're kind of, malnutritioned or scary dogs. If it is a nice dog, we'll just let him loose, give him his own shot. But you can't do that with people. You can't just let him loose, right? So how do you deal with them? So cash for keys is always great. You can start off low. You can always come up higher, to $1, $2, $3 even up to $5 if you're really desperate. You kind of feel out that person and for what their needs are. If they're, have a lot of stuff, offer a moving truck. You try to offer help and to make it an easy situation for them. We had this property up in Hawaii Kai where she got foreclosed on, an old lady and an older lady, but she was living there. She got foreclosed on in 2006, and she was living there rent free. So she was living there for free for all those years. She was boarded up. She would only come out at 5:30, and we were buying this auction property. We won at the courtroom steps, and we started a process as soon as I got under contract. Started talking to her, figuring out. I had to come at 5:30 on the dot when she would sneak out, using electricity from the neighbors. She was bringing water in. Everything's turned off, and these people are squatting and living in this house. She ended up was very hard to deal with. She called the cops on us, and at this point we owned the property already. We were talking to the daughter, and we had some kind of communication going on. The cops are normally, they're helpful to us. So she called the cops, but she didn't, unbeknownst, I knew the cop. He helped me with another house, and he kind of helped us out. He let her know, she could be arrested. She didn't have a lease. She was just a squatter. She was a person squatting in a house that got foreclosed on. So she was trespassing, and we did come to agreement. Hey, I'll give you a week more, and we'll get you on to the next place. She ended up moving, or the cops was going to arrest her. So sometimes, the combination of just being nice, being friendly to even the cops, and those people are really, really helpful. Another one on Big Island we had. Where it was in Waikoloa, and this guy does a really good scam. He finds vacant properties, and then he goes and puts renters in there. He's like a drug guy, and he'll go put his druggy sales guys, I don't know how to call it, but his lower sales guys into these properties all over Waikoloa. He's known for this. And we went and bought it, and he knows how to play the game. He knows how to drag it out. And we were playing the game, and we went to court, and he's dragging out the court. Even the judges just, they can't do nothing. The judge knows it's a game, but he knows how to drag it out. And we finally got the right to evict with the courts, and he still wasn't moving out. Happened to be one day he called the cops on us. Now we own the property, we have evictions, everything. He calls the cops on us. The cop comes down. The cop lives right up the street. He knows everything about this house and how they're selling drugs out of it, and the cop doesn't want that in his neighborhood. So the cop, he just told, hey, don't worry, I got this, put me on the side, and just started reaming the guy. The guy was really tattooed up and just a druggy kind of guy. So the cop really, really helped us on that one as well. So these are cops. Normally you don't get the help of cops. In squatters and evictions, you have to get sheriffs. And sheriffs handle the evictions. But sheriffs normally can't do nothing unless you have a writ to evict. And that's a piece of paper that comes from the courts. So we're just working backwards now, guys. So to get that piece of paper, the courts, the eviction, you have to take somebody to court. To take somebody to court, they have to be a renter normally, and you have to serve them either a notice, a 45-day notice of eviction, or there's other different ways to evict people, not following the lease and having animals in your property, or any kind of breach of the contract. You can do some different types of evictions in that process. But then in Hawaii, we are a democratic state. We are a heavily in favor of the tenant type of state, where the landlord's supposed to carry the cost of people. I guess it's the landlord's job to pay for our estate, so they make it very hard for evictions, so much so that tenants can keep delaying court matters. I had one, the tenant tried to countersue the judge. He tried to countersue, he did all this kind of weird paperwork. He made up the most weirdest things, but the second he does that, then it has to be taken care of. In Hawaii, we have a adverse protection. It's basically if you own a property over 20 years and you take care of it, you have adverse. You can keep the property. So if somebody says they've been in a property for 20 years, or even it's land or something, they prove they have pictures of them taking care of the property or whatnot, then that has to be disputed. So the second somebody says that, even on a property, then that has to be disputed. So that's just more time, more lawyer fees, and more things that you're going to have to deal with. So these are all things I've dealt with, and it's not easy. We just had an eviction, took 14 months. We had an eviction once on the Big Island that we won the evictions, and actually this happened in Waianae as well, where we won the eviction. The renter still will not move out. The cops can't force people, can't grab them anymore because they're worried about getting sued. So you have to have off-duty cops come on the side. It's really just a really hard process. We're not like we're Texas. You got to get out. You can change the locks right away. You can't really do that here in Hawaii. We've had a squatter once really, really damaging our property, very, very much so, and he was on drugs. And I knew this guy who was kind of working for us, kind of a vagabond, lived out of his car, lived at friends' places. I was like, hey, dude, these squatters are kind of in and out of our house, but they had locks. They would lock it, so we couldn't really take over the property. It's like, here you go. Here's our property. Here's a lease. I gave my guy a lease. You go live at that house. Take off all the doors off the hinges. Eat all the food there and just enjoy it. You have a lease. You're my tenant. So he went there and he lived there and ate all their stuff. And he was kind of just messy slob, kind of piggy guy. And you wouldn't want to live with this guy, basically. He's a big guy. So it kind of worked. It kind of chased him out of there. He started just taking over the property, basically. So it worked to just chase those people out of there. So you got to be creative in all these kind of structures. They have lots of rights here in Hawaii. Squatters, fake renters, even tenants who stop paying their leases. They have a lot of rights in here, and so it makes it hard for a landlord or a new homeowner who's going to come in and have to deal with this problem. And often no one wants to deal with these problems because it can get costly. I mean, we paid $15,000 one time for lawyer fees. For a property. A few times we've paid over, $5,000 to $10,000 for lawyer fees. And there's some good lawyers out there, but even them will struggle with it because the law is just in favor of this tenant. I've tried turning off the water, turning off electricity. The courts ordered us to turn it back on and to pay for it because of the quality of life. Get it? This is a guy freaking on drugs, selling, having needles at the property, and we had to take care of him. It's just boggling that this person, where all the normal people, all of us out there, we have to pay rent, we have to pay mortgages. these people get to live for free, and they don't have to pay rent. They don't have to pay mortgages. We have to take care of them. It's just boggling that it's our duty to take care of people. I mean, we work hard, and I work hard, and we all work hard for our money. So why would they not have to work hard? You know, what's their responsibility? It's just interesting. So how could we prevent them from getting in? That's the other part. Once a person gets in, we've had a property where we boarded them up, we locked it up really tight. It's still, they'll do whatever they can to get in, you know, breaking windows or breaking down a door, changing a lock, you know, whatever it may be. They'll figure out a way to get in the property, and you just got to keep at it. You know, the second we do evict somebody or get a squatter out of the property, we are there changing locks, boarding up windows if we needed to, making it very hard for them to get back in. So the second you do get control, you make sure that you take and keep control. You know, keep water off, keep electricity off. You know, keep it very unlivable if you have to. For a little bit at least, or get working on it right away. You know, get it. If it's a fix and flip, get demo going. Start tearing down walls. You know, no one's going to live in that kind of mess. So you always want to get that ready to go right away. You know, I bought a property one time, and we showed up thinking that it was empty and vacant. Contractors, the cans showing up, everything, and we found there's people that just decided to move in right at the last minute. And what do? You know, you gotta pull back. So we try to just start picking up trash and just making, you know, it clean at least. And we had to back up, and we had to deal with the squatter. So it's a catch-22 in it all, and there's no easy way to deal with it. There's no magic solution to deal with it. Cash for keys, help move them, help pay for their moval, you know, is worth it in the long run. Even if you have to pay for a moving truck, movers, and give them a couple $1,000, like, it's, tell you what, your money ahead if compared to having to go to court. Not to mention, you know what the hard part about going to court is? For me, I go to court for a lot of stuff all the time. It's not the fact of going to court. It's the fact that I have to think about that, and I have to stress about that. That's what I think is not worth it to me. Just to have that on your mind, to deal with that clarity in your mind when I should be thinking about bigger and better things, you know, finding deals, making more money. You know, I shouldn't be thinking about, you know, this guy shooting needles in my property, you know, in Waianae. And it's sad, you know, but these people most of the time are able to work, or they're just trying to mooch off society, and that's what I don't like. You know, I'll give these people a job. I've hired actually one of them one time to help with the yard. You know, I'll help people out, but if they don't want to, they just want to live for free, and they want everyone to help them. And I don't think that's fair. I think we all need to pull our own and take care. You know, we all work, and we all have to pay our own rent or mortgage. And why not everyone have to do that? You know, why? I don't know. I don't like dealing with that. But I have so many different stories with squatters and renters. It's just, you know, it blows past my mind sometimes. There's a property one time that we bought. This guy, Courtney Brown, who goes down and buys pre-foreclosed properties, not pre-foreclosed, but what is it? It was foreclosed properties, but they're non-judicial foreclosed, so meaning that the banks are not foreclosing. These are like HOAs foreclosing or smaller foreclosures. Most of the time, association foreclosing on these properties before the banks. So he'll buy these foreclosed property for, you know, $3, $4, $5,000, foreclosed maybe a couple years later, and he'll rent it out. So he'll buy these for $3,000 from the non-judicial auctions, and then put these renters in there. And then here I bought a property 4 years later, and these renters been living there They don't know what's going on. They think they're renters, and they come to find out that, they were just living there temporary. So it's a kind of then I got to call the guy Courtney, and I got to figure out what's going on, and obviously you win. We do everything legally and we do everything right, and you're going to win at everything you do. It's just a matter of how much time or how much money or how much headache it's going to take, and that's what it is. So even when you buy these properties, you're going to get, we get title insurance, we get insurance in general. We're buying them straight from the, through escrow and so forth. So these are legit properties. You just have to now deal with the problem of these people, and what is it to you if you want to take on that struggle? And they're not easy, and they're not going to be always simple. You kind of got to expect the worst and hope for the best, and it's long. When we just did eviction for a year and a half, we're actually just finishing that property right now. That was a long journey. We're paying hard money loans at $3,000-$4,000 a month. We're paying lawyer fees and all that kind of cost. So you have a long journey sometimes ahead of you, and people just don't want to take that on. I mean, I don't oppose. I don't know why I want to take it on, but somebody's going to do the deal, so it might as well be me. So, get ready for that long journey could be ahead of you with people. And some people just know how to work this system. You can delay courts. You can ask for more time. They can use so many different ways to delay the court, ask for, a medical. This one guy he asked for a medical. His left knee was hurt, then all of a sudden his right knee, and it was a fake. It was like a nurse practitioner, somebody signing for him. It was something fake, obviously. But, the court got to listen, and they got to delay and wait for him. He couldn't sit one day, he says. Mind you, this guy's normal and fine. He just knows how to manipulate and use it all. You're just dealing with dishonest people, and it's a stressful time, of course, and legal and sitting in court is very stressful, and that's the part I don't like of it all. Well, let me go through a quick process of how to evict them if you haven't kind of got it by now. And so basically, if you do have a person in the property, make sure they don't have a lease. Don't oppose them. Don't ask them to make a lease or anything, because they're harder to evict when they have leases. Easier to evict when it's just a squatter. You can use even cops can possibly help you when there's squatters. When they're renters, they have leases in place, and then you got to see what part of the lease are they in breach of. For not paying, you have a 45-day notice. For animals or a person that's not on the lease, you can do it even a 10-day notice for those ones. When you do give them that notice, make sure you give them the proper notice. There's a real legit way to give a notice. Make sure you have that all in place. Make sure you have the dates on there. You do have to have a way to timestamp it if you can get it certified mail or served by a server, or we do everything. So I'll take a picture of it on their mailbox. We'll have it certified mail. We'll have it also a server serve them if we can get a hold of them. So we try and do it every way possible to make sure we cover all our bases. Then you have to wait 45 days before you can start the process, and then you'll wait. Once you hit 45 days, you can now start the eviction process, and that could take a month to get a court hearing, another month to review. So you're just kind of waiting for the courts at that time. If you got to go to a jury trial, that's months and months down the line. You should hire an eviction attorney at that point. Definitely have an eviction attorney from the start. It's too hard to do by yourself. If you can do it, great, but it's worth the $2-3 grand that they start you off at. Of course, it goes up, $300 an hour, so it goes up really quick. Start that process right away as soon as you can. And even if if somebody's late on our rents and so forth, now we like to even just start that process no matter what. We don't have to necessarily go through the process, but you're just that much more time ahead when, 45 days later they're still not paying and you're going to start that eviction process. You're just that's much more time ahead. By anyone out there listening and thinking, oh yeah, I can go through that process and I'm going to, delay my rents and have eviction. If you have eviction against you on your record, you're not ever going to get a rental again. Good luck trying to ever find a rental unit. And normally when we evict, we don't just put that person's name on there. We put everybody's name possibly in that unit, and Jane Doe and John Doe included. So when you do eviction, you are evicting everyone in that property. So don't think you can do it, and then my wife will get the next place and we'll screw over that landlord. Don't think you're going to get away with that, because no one will rent to somebody who's been evicted. I don't even flinch if I look at somebody who's been evicted, and they'll have their story and their song and dance. But I know from my own experience, if somebody's been evicted, they were really jerks and they did not want to work it out. So why are they going to want to work it with? It's just not somebody I want in our property. So don't think you're going to play that game. Sheriffs are the ones that need to be there to help you do it. Also, I recommend never going to a property on your own, just for safety. Also for, he said, she said kind of thing. You can say, just the presence of having somebody, having a mob with you, like having a group with you, you feel that much more safer and empowered as well. But you do feel a lot safer, because a lot of times you're going to these properties that are, that you don't know what's behind door number one kind of thing. So be careful. And these people are not in the right state of mind in general. So definitely go to a property with somebody around you. I've been to property. We had a moving truck one time. We were moving somebody out another property, and we just used a moving truck to show up at the property like we're going to start moving their stuff. So things like that can be helpful. Show up with the moving truck, to start talking to them. They'll get it. But definitely don't go there by yourself. If you're not somebody who's not confident, or you're a smaller woman or an older person, don't go there, because your safety is not worth it, because these are not the right state of mind people you're going to be dealing with. You show up there with a few people if you can, just for your own protection. And I do it all the time, just to come with presence, I guess you can say. Sometimes I don't even talk. I just stay in the back and I'll listen, and I'll have somebody else kind of start the conversation. So I'll just listen. It kind of shows you don't need to play your cards up front sometimes. This is all just little things, guys. If you do have a cop friend or eviction friend, or somebody who has kind of authority, bring them along, of course. But yeah, you can do it. So question 1, we have this segment where we have investors ask questions. Tony asked a question: should I invest in a security camera to monitor all my properties? Great question. Yeah, of course, if they're fix and flips, it's not a bad idea to have cameras there. You do got to have Wi-Fi or some kind of internet for these cameras, so that's the hard part. And then streaming service of it all. We've done fake cameras, but generally when you're buying a property, you just bought the property and they already kind of have control. They're living it. They have all their stuff. So good luck trying to get a camera on it, without them even damaging it. That's going to be kind of hard to put the security camera on the property. Yeah, if you can put a camera, but in general, a camera is not going to do much in general. It's going to take a picture of somebody or a video of somebody. It's not going to prevent them. You're catching a video of somebody that's there. You're going to go knock on the door and see them there anyway. So it's not, I don't think it's going to be that useful, other than to see and make you mad that there's people there. So I don't even think it's worth it, honestly, to if they are squatting in the property. Upcoming events, we have a lot of events coming up. We're speaking at a big EXP event. We're speaking at Tony's event on stage. Super excited to be a part of that. That's for agents. Love to all you agents to come check that out. And I love to give back to agents and just provide you guys with a ton of value, how to grow social, how to find good rentals for yourself, just different ways to help you grow and be better as an agent. So I love actually talking to agents actually a lot. And then on the Big Island, I have some really, really good friends, Dee and Vince. They have this amazing event. They have a really cool event coming up on the Big Island at the Mahalani Hotel, and that is the Blueprint. That's a Millionaire Mastermind Blueprint, and that's June 29th to July 2nd. And that's super excited to be at that event on the Big Island, be around high-level people, really. I love going to events and just learning and networking and seeing what people are up to. So definitely come to events or come to our event too. We have our own event coming up in a couple months. We haven't had a date yet. We'll do some smaller meetups as well, but we have an event coming up. We have some great deals for you guys too, so check out our portal. Go to indarhawaii.com and check out our page there. We have a bunch of things on there, some Airbnbs across the islands if you want to stay at some Airbnbs. We have our Turo car. You can invest with us on some deals. We have a huge multifamily, amazing deal coming up. I'm super excited. It's been years and years trying to find this deal. Actually, it's a huge multifamily fix and flip. Actually, 3.1 million, and we'll sell this at 7 million with some huge rehabs and a lot of work to it. Excited to get involved in that project, and trying to close out our Janesville big property right now. Been 8 months trying to close this thing. I think we're close, almost there, almost at the final stages of it all. Been a really hard process working with these lenders, so we're close there. And so see you guys. Stay tuned. Follow us and like and subscribe, and please comment below, because I really appreciate the comments and love answering and talk to everybody and all the questions. There's no bad questions. I have a ton of questions myself. I am constantly asking questions to people, so why not you? Thank you guys. Aloha.